All righty. Hello, everyone, and welcome. So happy to have you here with me today. And I want to welcome those of you that are going to join us live, as well as those of you that are going to catch us on the replay. So, welcome to all of you. And it's a beautiful Thursday here in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And I have a special guest, the one and only wonderful Sandra Gultry. And Sandra is in Orlando, Florida. So we are coming to you from all around the country, literally, right? Hey, Sandra, how you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, so happy to have you. So, guys, again, welcome. I'm delighted to have you. And I think today's topic is going to be incredibly valuable. All right. So, let me kind of give you a quick rundown. Um, so, first of all, before we jump in, my name is Leslie Vitel, and I'm a business strategist and mentor. Specifically, I work with health professionals in private practice, and I help you to overcome all those challenges, the overwhelm associated with building a profitable practice. So, I'll help you to streamline all of your strategies, and ultimately, at the end of the day, right, we focus on building a really sustainable practice with multiple revenue streams so that you can get paid really well for the work that you love. All right, so that's a little bit about me. Let me just briefly introduce our topic today, because this is a really juicy one. I love this. And I wanted to talk about this because I often get a lot of questions about this particular topic, and that is how to run Facebook challenges and how to utilize Facebook challenges to help you to grow your audience, and how to use Facebook challenges to fill your groups, right? So your group programs and your courses. And so, like I said, this is a really, it's an awesome strategy. It using Facebook challenges can help you to grow your email list. It's also a really great strategy, like I said, to help you to fill your group programs, as well as your online services. So, if you have been wondering, how do I do this? Like, I see people doing these challenges, seems like a cool idea, but you don't know how to do it, or maybe you've tried it before, and maybe it didn't, really create that momentum that you were looking for, you are definitely in the right place. So we are going to break things down into steps. So I'm going to introduce Sandra in just a moment, but before I do, let me give you an overview of the things that you're going to learn today. So we're going to be talking through why doing a challenge for your audience is a win-win, and why it works better, often better than the webinar model for filling your one-to-one, actually your one-to-one services, as well as, like I said, your group programs and group coaching services. We're going to be breaking this down, this whole process, into 6 crucial steps. Okay. So we're going to give you 6 steps to launching a successful challenge, literally soup to nuts. So make sure you take notes. And we're also going to be covering some of the common mistakes that practitioners tend to make in this model, and of course, what to do instead that works, and a lot more in between. So buckle up. This is going to be a really, really great topic. All right. So, Sandra, Miss Sandra, so happy to have you, and really appreciate you taking time. I know you've got a really busy practice these days, which is awesome. So I appreciate your taking time out of your day to, to share your experience, because let's be honest, you do this 3 times a year. You're kind of a pro at this point, right?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you, give us a little bit of background, in terms of your journey? Because, you've built this amazing practice. You're doing the work that you love, and this is a second career for you, right? So can you just kind of give us kind of
Yeah.
a snapshot of your journey? I think that would be super helpful for everybody.
Yes. Well, I am a computer programmer, database administrator from in corporate America, turned registered dietitian in private practice. So really came full circle with it. It spawned from a combination of just wanting to do something different with my career and my own health journey. And so in my early mid 30s, I kind of had some health challenges with my blood pressure and my weight. And like everybody else, I was trying to do it on my own, trying to
Yeah.
figure it out. And for years, it wasn't sticking. It wasn't
Right.
working.
Right.
And eventually, I worked with a dietitian. It was really my first exposure to a dietitian. But prior to that, I knew I wanted to do something different, but I did not know what that was. I knew it was going to require me to go back to school. And after 15 years, that was kind of daunting. So I tried to put that off for several years. But when I came across this dietitian, I was just so intrigued with the things she was teaching me and just learning about healthy eating and just a whole different way of doing things. And I just really just found a strong interest that I asked her. I'm like, well, what do you do to become a dietitian? And so that really spawned me to go back to school and just really take that leap of faith, because it was fearful. I'm in corporate America. I'm comfortable. I've been there for like 17 years. And here I am trying to go back to school and kind of start over and become an entrepreneur on top of that. I did consult for 5 years in nursing homes, but ultimately I knew I wanted to get into private practice. And so the way life happened, the way things turned, it just kind of led to that process. And I tried to do it on my own, even running a business on my own. I did that for a couple of years, struggled. But I think those struggles helped shape me.
Yes.
Eventually, I met with Leslie. We hooked up, and she's been my coach ever since. I would say since about 2017.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
That's a
Since
long time.
2017.
Which is awesome. I mean, just to have the opportunity to walk alongside of you during your journey, right? Over the course of your journey has been incredible, for me from a professional as well as a personal standpoint. So, I mean, you've done amazing. The growth is like insane. So I'm so proud of you. And yeah, it's awesome. So, yeah, so basically, then you decided to make a transition
Mhm,
mainly because of your own health journey.
mhm.
And then you worked for someone else for a while and then decided it was time to go out on your own, right? And that's around the time when you and I connected, which
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful for that connection. So, all right, now why don't you share just a little bit about your area of specialization, and let's give everyone just a little bit of background. Well, your area of specialization and why you decided to transition your business, or let's say add an additional revenue stream,
Mhm.
okay, in terms of courses and groups.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about what led up to that decision.
Mhm. So my area of expertise, my target audience is weight management. So primarily weight loss, but tied to that comes with blood pressure and cholesterol and diabetes. So all that kind of comes in together, but the core usually is healthy eating and just and having a healthier weight. And my target audience down here is very fad diet driven, very quick fix driven, marketing hype. I mean, so that has been the challenge for me over the years, is breaking through that. Because here I am, yes, eat carbs, but yet over here, don't eat carbs. So I had to really contend and kind of work through breaking that glass ceiling, because I'm coming across with a totally different approach, a more total body approach to living, and trying to be preventative also, because I really want people to try to prevent things and not approach weight loss or approach getting healthy in such an extreme manner. And so I think that was another reason why it was such a struggle for me, because like I said, it's very fad diet driven down here. And so eventually, as time, that's one thing that I've learned through this process is don't give up. Don't give up, no matter how hard it is.
Yeah.
I think that really shaped me. All the no's and all the, I don't know about, just all of the objections that I received along the way. Eventually, I got to a point where my one-on-ones, which where Leslie and I focus primarily, is how do I grow my one-on-ones? How do I get people into my funnel? How do I get people into my world? And once we finally got to that point, then it was like, okay, I'm one person. How do I reach more people? And that's when the next step of groups came on the scene. And now let's try to open up additional streams of revenue where I can help many instead of just one-on-one. Of course, I keep the one-on-ones, that's the bread and butter and the core,
Right.
but then we've also expand. And so that's when we came up with a challenge, and my first challenge was launched in the middle of a pandemic. So
yes. Oh my gosh.
yes.
Oh my God. Yes. Right when things were kind of falling apart in the world, right?
Mhm.
Like I remember, oh my God, we had started the whole process and then the whole world shut down.
Yeah, yeah.
It was all
And
this
it's
uncertainty.
and it's funny that you mentioned the webinar. That was the approach that I was doing, and then the world shut down. And in hindsight, it was a blessing in disguise, because I don't believe that launch would have been as successful as it was when we revamped and kind of rebranded. We just started over from scratch and did a challenge, and I was able to come up with a theme for that challenge that resonated with my audience. So I think it ended up being a blessing in disguise, but I had to work through all that.
You did, and it was really stressful, and it was kind of scary too, because the thing about launches, let's just name it, is you invest a lot of time and resources into creating everything, and so it is rather you can feel very, very pressured, right? And I remember that extremely well, making that super difficult decision. When the world closed down, essentially, everyone was kind of huddled and not sure, what direction to go in. We made the collective decision to just kind of, put things on hold and then to regroup, right? And I do, in hindsight, I think it was a great decision.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about, because you had mentioned that you believe that doing the challenge actually, because originally we were going to do a webinar, right? And in a lot of ways, now there's pros and cons to everything. I'm big on kind of weighing out the pros and cons. A webinar is kind of a one and done, right? So like there are some advantages, right? You do the webinar, you get people there, you do it once, and then you do your pitch on the webinar, and then you move on, right? You move on with your email sequence, right? So there's some moving parts when it comes to doing a challenge instead. But we made that decision together and decided, you know what, let's do this. And one of the reasons is because when you do a challenge, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be on Facebook, but there are some inherent advantages to doing, holding a challenge on Facebook, right? Including you can, you have a mechanism in place. You have like a container, right? So you start a Facebook group. So you end up with an asset in your business, like a really nice active Facebook group. That's one advantage. And the other thing is you want to be able to collect email addresses, right? And so you're able to do that inside of Facebook. So there's some other advantages too, but just in terms of looking at webinar versus a Facebook challenge for a launch, how do you feel? What do you feel about the differences or the advantages?
Yeah, I do agree with the webinar. It is kind of one and done. It's one-way communication too, versus two-way. So there's they can put stuff in the chat, but they can't really interact with me. So one of the things that I did like about the challenge is it's very interactive. So they get to see me, they get to know me, they see my posts, but now they get to see the person behind the post. And I think having that access to me, as far as, ask me questions, what do you need? This is that vehicle of doing that. And then with the Facebook group, the challenge is over, but the group is still there. And when we keep that group alive, we continue to post in that group and continue to people engage in that group. So it's a continual mechanism of support, even beyond the challenge. So it definitely has its longer term. I feel it has more of the longer term benefits down the line. And then when you have future launches or future things that's going on, you have this, you have this pool that you can pull from that's already supporting you.
Exactly. So why don't we dig in a little bit? And I would completely agree with that. I think the biggest advantage to doing a challenge is that you have more opportunity to develop that all important know, like, and trust with your audience. And what that means is, at the end of it, they're probably going to be more likely to feel comfortable in investing in whatever it is that you're offering as a next step, right?
Absolutely.
Versus a webinar. A webinar is great. Don't get me wrong, guys. Webinars are great. I just did a webinar for my most recent launch, right? So sometimes, I like to mix it up.
Yeah.
So webinars are good. They can be fantastic. But I think we've hit the kind of the magic formula for Sandra's audience. They really seem to respond. And so I do think a lot of this is dependent on your target audience, right?
Yeah, and having a large following too, because when you have a webinar, it's good to have a large following. So you can kind of use that challenge, kind of build that audience to maybe in the future I can do better with a webinar.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it does help to have a decent sized email list so that you can actually get people there. We usually run ads to the webinar, which helps, but you actually run ads to your challenge too.
Yep, we started doing that. Doing that this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, maybe you can kind of think to your most successful challenge and tell us a little bit about that. Like, because I want everyone to walk away from today's training having a little bit of clarity, because I'm thinking some people might not even be crystal clear on what we're talking about because they've never done it. So can you describe your most successful challenge?
Okay. I would say my most successful in terms of numbers, in terms of growing my email list, was my very first one, and which was in the middle of a pandemic, so it was kind of like the epic launch, and so it was a brand new Facebook group, and my email list grew by about 100 to 120 people. So that was very, very large. I was very happy with that, and I feel a big part of that was I had two promotion partners, meaning that I had another Facebook group that I was a member of that was supporting me and promoting me, and, allowing me to talk about my challenge. It was a 3-day challenge, in that particular group. And then I had another person who was a personal trainer who had her separate group, and she was promoting my information as well. So between that, and then I was also doing personal reach outs myself, meaning that I was emailing people on my friends list. I was going through my phone, texting people. And so it was a lot of moving parts, but I really think that was part of the vehicle that made it so successful. And maybe the times too. I mean, at that point, we were about maybe 4 or 5 months into this pandemic. So people are, we're still on lock, and then we are still scared and don't know what's going on. And so that could have been another vehicle for, people were gaining weight, unfortunately, the quarantine game. So you had all that going on. So I think timing also plays a part of it. And so all of those moving pieces, I think, really helped to make my 3-day challenge very, very successful. And my conversion rate was really high. Because of the pandemic, I had it was a 4-week group program, and it was priced super low because we wanted to take into consideration times, the uncertainty. People were furloughed, some people lost their jobs altogether. So we wanted to take that into consideration, and that made a difference for a lot of people because they were like, oh, the price was right. I couldn't, pass this up. And so I think that was a really good segue. But I would say each challenge, each launch or relaunch, you're going to have different successes. So you're going to have different successes than the previous. So you kind of have to look at them individually. But that one, number wise, I would say would really set the tone and set the foundation for the new group, and that's still active, as well as
amazing. So when you do future challenges,
Mhm.
So you do this 3 times a year, essentially now, right?
Yes, we
So
have.
do you have 3 different Facebook groups? Or do you do the same challenge within that original Facebook group?
So everything is done in the same Facebook group.
Okay.
So people who are already part of the Facebook group, we promote in there too. Hey, here's another one.
Yeah.
Because we're in the Facebook group, but not everybody converts, right? Or not everybody's
Right.
ready to take that next step. So everything is always done in that one Facebook group. So that's kind of like the central location for all my challenges.
Yeah, I love that. So then, I mean, that is one of the huge advantages. You end up with a nice asset at
Mhm.
the end of it, right? This
Yep.
awesome Facebook group that you can continue to nurture and grow, and it
Grow.
can be an amazing source of leads in of itself. So I
Mhm.
love strategy. So what I'd like to do now, Sandra, let's help our audience today get really super clear on the exact steps
Okay.
to take in order to be successful, right? And I guess before we do that, I want to clarify just in case, like this might be crystal clear to some of our audience today, but just in case you're not like crystal clear on what we're talking about or what we're trying to accomplish, I'm going to give you a really high level overview. Okay, so basically, the end goal is to enroll clients into Sandra's paid group program. Okay, so that's really the end goal. But I got to say, actually, with a caveat, we have actually used this strategy to fill her private one on one roster as well.
Mhm.
So this can be used, this whole strategy can be used to fill your one on one
Mhm.
programs or a group or a course.
Mhm.
Okay. So what
Absolutely.
I like to kind of reverse engineer, right? So like we're clear on our end goal, right? We want to have a group. We want to fill our one-on-one slots. So
Mhm.
then we ask ourselves, like, what is the process that we're going to take our audience through in order to help them develop that? I always call it the know, like, and trust. How can we help them to get to know Sandra and to get to feel really comfortable in investing their resources into whatever she's going to offer at the end? So again, we decided, let's do a challenge. Like that seems to be a good fit. So we pick a topic that seems like a good fit and aligns with the end result offer. And so that's kind of very high level. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into smaller steps. Okay. So you probably want to grab a pen and paper to jot down some notes because we're gonna try not to go in the weeds, but give you some actionable steps today, right, Sandra? Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the first step?
Know your audience's pain points.
Okay.
Like know what their struggles are. So identify that for your particular audience. Mine was sugar cravings.
Okay.
So that's something that I was hearing a lot about when I when I do my one-on-ones or my phone consults. Rather, when I do my phone consults, they fill out an application or a form, and so they share with me those pain points. So I keep them, I reflect on them, I kind of went through them
Yeah.
because during the shutdown, I'm like, trying to figure out what am I going to do next. And so I just kind of started seeing a pattern, cravings. I have these cravings, I have these strong sugar cravings. And so that is kind of what I started in as my base. And then I kind of grew on that. And that was it was really a buzz. And so it really got people's attention when it came out, as far as this 3-day challenge is going to help you to gain control of your cravings. So find out what your target audience is really in need of.
Yeah. Oh, that's so key. So knowing your audience and being able to zero in on like an urgent problem that they want solved,
Mhm.
right? Something that's going to be like, oh my God, how did she know? Right? Is she in my head? Like, how did she know that's what I need? And ideally, you're going to come up with something really, really juicy like that. And that's going to be the theme of your challenge. Exactly right. And I would just add that ideally you want it to connect to your end product as well, right?
Mhm.
Now, they're going to be different because you wouldn't do the same thing. That would make no sense, right? It could be a little teeny piece of what you're going to teach in your paid program. I'm sure you address cravings somewhat in your paid program, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But it's not the whole entire theme of the
Right.
paid program. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. But guys, seriously, the first step is always to know your audience, right? And to be able to extract a topic that is going to be really super compelling to them. And it does need to solve an urgent problem. And you're not trying to solve everything. I really, in my experience, I found that specificity really helps. So, like, if you pick a super, like a broad topic, it might not land as powerfully as something super specific like Sandra's topic. I mean, helping clients to overcome cravings is brilliant. So I love it, and it really was very powerful for her audience. Okay, awesome. So what's next?
Know your schedule.
Okay.
Come up with a calendar.
Mm.
I learned that if you don't have a calendar, you're kind of all over the place. So
Yes.
there's a lot of moving targets when you are in launch mode. You're trying to promote, you're trying to send emails, you're trying to, do lives, you're trying to do a lot of different, things. And so have a calendar where when their opt-in page is going to go live, and when is your sales page going to go live, when are your emails going to go out, and who you're sending them to. And so it's very helpful to have a roadmap and do it early. Don't, because if you're doing it as you're going through the process, then it's kind of stressful because you forget things and things fall off your radar. So it's good to kind of have it. Once you have one calendar, you reuse it. You tweak things, you change it, but you have the format. You generally we promote for 2 weeks, and then we are in. We launched the challenge for 2 weeks, and then the challenge is on for 3 days. Day one of the challenge, I'm starting to promote my paid program.
Yep.
And then but really, I position it to where this is exclusive. It hasn't been publicly announced yet, so you have your spot in this paid program. And then after day 3 of the challenge, then that's when things get promoted publicly. And then that's kind of when that 2-week mark starts as far as promoting to the public, and then all of the different tools that you're going to use to promote. And then the paid program starts. And have your early birds, deadline, and because having time sensitivity and all that adds buzz too. So if they know they can get it by this date and it's a little bit less, then they're going to be more apt to sign up earlier than waiting till the day of your paid program. So you kind of know your numbers before your program starts. So definitely have a roadmap on what needs to happen and what needs to take place throughout the process.
Exactly. So basically sit down before you even really start and create a calendar, like a launch calendar, starting with the end result and kind of working backwards, right? And just ensuring. So what I would recommend, and I know this is what you did, Sandra, is to literally put in your calendar every email that's going to be sent out. Right?
Absolutely.
So I like to label mine, using the alphabet. So email A, email B, email C. And then, you guys, it's really important to also remember to include reminder emails. So like people that have signed up for your challenge, we call that the bucket, right, Sandra? So they're in the bucket.
Yes.
So it's important because, you've got like a couple sets of emails going on, right? So you want to continue to get new people into your challenge. So you're emailing, your list, you're doing social promotion, all that good stuff, but you're also now reminding your bucket to actually show up, right?
Yeah, yes, you want them to show up.
Definitely, after all this, you want them to show up, and it's super easy, to kind of forget that. So so you want to, go in your calendar and really get clear on every single email that you plan to send out. And again, I like to look at it like I'm reverse engineering. I'm starting with the end product, and I'm planning on like 2 solid weeks of promotion for each step, right? So 2 solid weeks of promoting to move people into the paid product. And then we've got the Facebook challenge, right? But we're promoting for 2 weeks prior to that to move the audience into the challenge. So hopefully that makes sense, right?
Mhm.
So basically all said with a challenge, you're looking at a solid month of emails and launching.
Yeah. Yeah. And if people ever wonder, well, when am I going to launch or when am I going to do it? Kind
Yeah,
of know when you want your paid program to start or when you want it to finish, because you have to think about holidays.
yeah,
You have to think about important dates. So you don't want things to clash. And because I kind of ran into a little bit of that. So you want to kind of think about the time frame that your program is going to run through, and then
right.
when you work your way back, then you kind of seeing, okay, well, this is when the challenge is going to start based off of my end date. Is that a good time for this challenge? Is it in the middle of a holiday, or
Right.
you want to make sure that everything lines up, so that kind of helps shape your dates.
Yeah. And we've kind of shifted things because we're like, oh wait, it's Memorial Day. We can't do it then. Or it's the 4th of July. Maybe that wouldn't be a good date to start, right? So yeah, definitely do the calendaring because it's super important. And if you don't do it, you really risk things falling apart, right?
Stress levels are even higher.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like if you can go into this knowing exactly what needs to be done on which date, you're going to be in good shape. So awesome. Okay, good. So we've got how many steps did we outline? 2 steps so far. So what's the third?
Creating your assets. So kind of
Yeah,
know what you want to do as far as
yeah,
promotion. So when I first started, it was word of mouth,
yeah,
emails. I was doing Facebook Lives then, so Facebook Lives, and it was promotion partner. So it was real, I guess you could say organic, so to speak. And then this year, I started doing Facebook ads and IG ads.
yeah,
So that came on the scene, and then starting, I guess the end of last year was when I started having an IG presence. So I was able to expand my social media. So kind of think about what you're going to do. I recommend with ads is really invest in the amount of money that you need to invest to really get the numbers that
yeah,
you need, because that's going to play a huge role in your conversion rate. So kind of think about those numbers ahead of time. With my challenge, I did what I call a guidebook. And so I had this pretty comprehensive. So a lot of people don't expect that when they're doing a challenge, especially when it's free, right? And so it was a pretty comprehensive guidebook. It introduced myself. It talked about why I was doing this challenge, what the goals were that I'm hoping to accomplish. It had the schedule of the challenge. It had I offered the meal plan, so it had the meal plans, the details of that, a prep guide, and then at the end, it had a bio of myself, and then it also talked about the next step. So you always want to have a call to action in your promotions. I also did video. So I did little video snippets that kind of got promoted throughout the challenge,
mhm,
in addition to like the email. So kind of really think about your comfort zone and what you want to do as far as promoting, and then just and go for it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you brought up something else that I think is really important, and that is your what you call your guidebook, right? So, can you explain a little bit what the guidebook was used for?
So the guidebook was really their roadmap for the challenge. So when
Yeah.
they went to my opt-in page and said, "Hey, here I am. I'm signing up. I'm giving my email," a thank you page would pop up, and that thank you page would. And here was mistake number one I made. I had the guidebook on the thank you page, and so they downloaded it, and they did not join the Facebook group. So they just took the
Right.
guidebook, had the plan, and that was
And
it.
off they went.
I mean, yes, I had their email, but it was no real way of nurturing, because, they could have just given me an email they don't look at, and they're not in the Facebook group and
Okay.
things like that. So I saw that pretty early on, and I
Mhm. And you
went to
fixed
the
it.
designers like, take this off. And so on the thank you page, I actually have, okay, these are your next steps.
Yeah.
First, join this Facebook group. And when you join the Facebook group, then that is when you get your guidebook. You can download it.
Mhm.
And that gives you all the material that you need for the challenge itself, as well as again, it had the schedule and things of that nature. But the big thing that was on the thank you page was you got to join this Facebook group in order to get the guidebook. And one of the things that I added, which I think will kind of fall under this step, is in the beginning I did a pre-recorded video the week before, like the Thursday before the challenge. So the challenge started on a Tuesday versus a Monday. We started on a Tuesday. And that Thursday, I did a pre-recorded to kind of go over the guidebook and say, hey, this is how you shop. This is what to expect. These are some of the things we're going to do during the 3-day live training. Just kind of give them a heads up on what's coming, what's going on. And so, and it wasn't, I guess it was that one way, it was that one way. So, people did not really engage as far as chatting and asking questions. And so I have a social media manager that I brought on last year, and she suggested, hey, let's just do this live. Let's try to do it live to help build that look, that trust.
That trust,
right? Let's try it. Let's try it. And that way I did it live. I went live like on a Thursday evening, I think about 7 p.m. Eastern. And hey, here's your opportunity. I'm going to go over what you need to set yourself up over the weekend. So when we hit the ground running on Tuesday, if you have any questions, here's your chance to ask. So and that was helpful. People signed on, people engaged, and it helps set that tone for getting to know me instead of just day one of the challenge at the training, them seeing me for the first time. So it kind of warmed them up to me a little bit. And I think it increased engagement throughout the challenge as well.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Definitely. Yay, Krista, right?
Yes.
Yay, Krista. Good idea. All right. It takes a village, everybody. It really does. So, okay, awesome. So creating assets is really your third step. And that can include, your Facebook group banner, your graphics for promotion, whatever kind of, if you have a workbook or a guidebook, whatever you're going to need for that challenge specifically. Now, we don't necessarily have to create the materials for the paid program yet, but that does sneak up on you. I will say, oh my God,
yes,
it's tomorrow. So I would add to that list, you want to, I would say, be working on the course material. Like,
absolutely.
Don't leave that to the very end, because that just gets really stressful. I mean, for sure, what I would do in this step is have your first module done, ready to go. At least get that far, right? Wouldn't you agree, Sandra?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the most daunting things is you feel like you have to have everything done. And so you'll learn that, you take it in steps, but you don't want to, you want to try to stay a week ahead. I think that's probably at least.
Yeah. At least a week ahead. Yeah. And the other thing is, and I know Sandra can probably attest to this, is once you do it the first time, oh my God, it's so much easier moving forward, because all these things are already created for the most part. You might have to go in and tweak, the dates and things like that on your graphics, but for the most part, it's much easier. So yeah, so just kind of keep an eye on the start date of your course, so that you're not leaving that complete. You don't have to have it all done, guys. I know we have a lot of perfectionists amongst us here, and that can hold us back. I don't want it to hold you back. Seriously. You don't have to have every single handout for the course or the group 100% done. You just don't. But I would at this point be creating the first module. Okay. Just so you've got that, in the can, as they say. Okay, awesome. So where are we now? I think that was step 4, right? Or no, only 3. Okay, we got a few more. So where do we go next? What's number 4?
Yeah, so kind of think of your promotion plan. So thank God Krista came on the scene. So a lot of that was taken care of. So unless you are good at Facebook ads and good at the graphics and good at, I advise you to find somebody who's good at it, because it is it could be very time consuming and very stressful, and you want it to be effective. You want it to be effective. And so I was able to bring on Krista, and she just brought my social media image to a whole nother level. And I do get a lot of compliments on the professionalism of it all. So she handled the Facebook ads, the IG ads, and just posting and scheduling. I focus more on the emails. I use MailChimp, so the MailChimp emails and the Facebook lives and things like that. She helps promote my lives as well. So so it's just really good to have have a team, because once you start getting to this level, it's hard to do it all by yourself.
It's really, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, highly recommend that. If you're able to, and it doesn't have to break the bank, guys.
Right.
It really doesn't. But just to be able to hand over and delegate some of these tasks that are time consuming, maybe things that you just, you could do, but should you, right? Probably not if you really look at it. So I think delegation it is I think you bring up a great point, Sandra. Thanks for that. Okay, so all right, so we have step 1, the topic and knowing your audience. Step 2, create a launch calendar. Step 3 is about creating your assets, right? Your graphics, your PDFs, definitely whatever you're going to use for the challenge. And guys, I would also add to that list, you need an opt-in page. You need a page like a registration page,
right.
So that people can sign up, and you have a mechanism in place to capture their emails, right? You can do that on Facebook to a degree. So, but I think it's even better if you have an opt-in page and a thank you page. Okay. And then let's see. So number 4 is about the promotion plan. And so in Sandra's case, she really focuses on writing the email copy, and she's got a team member that works with her to help her promote on social media, right? Okay, so what's number 5?
Challenge time. So I call it go live day. So your opt-in page goes live, you go live, emails start going out.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting. You want to have high energy. You really want to promote it. You a few days before, you kind of say, hey, in 24 hours, we kick things off. So you really just get really motivated. And so one of the things that I do in my 3-day challenge is I have a training, some type of training. So I have 3 different topics that I talk about on one on each day. And so all that's been highlighted in the promotion. So day 1, we're going to talk about this. Day 2, we're going to talk about this. And day 3, we're going to talk about this. So you kind of make the titles compelling, make it very engaging, kind of a cliffhanger, like what's she going to talk about? And so that is been a hit. When I'm on those lives, I like to always go over, well, how did the previous day go, or something like that? Or if it's day 1, well, how did shopping go, and how did prepping go? Just to kind of get some feedback, because one of the other objectives is to help people and to help kind of work through some of those challenges that they have. So a lot of people have challenges with meal prepping and have challenges with shopping, and they don't want to cook and this and that, so we try to work through some of those. I like to ask, well, which meals did you like? Which snacks did you like? Because, if something wasn't going very well, you can change it the next time. So I like to get feedback.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't mention, I do an assessment. I do a pre-challenge assessment before, like when people are still signing up. I like to do assessment to kind of see where they are. What are your challenges? Why did you join the challenge? What do you hope to get out of the challenge? So I kind of collect some data, and that helps when I'm coaching and I'm in the lives, and it also helps in putting out those pain points when trying to do the upsell. So it all kind of ties in together, just more data that I collect for people who are willing to fill that out. But each day, like I said, I have a different topic, and I actually do the upsell on day 1. And I kind of build on it. But because people who sign on day 1 may not sign on day 2 or day 3, so you got to catch people when you can. So it's almost like each day you're repeating that the upsell, which is talking about your paid program. In my case, is two of my challenges go to a group paid program, and one of my challenges actually is promoting a free phone consult to where I can try to convert them to one-on-ones. So I'm actually promoting that on every single day, because usually it's a different set of people. Every now and then you're lucky where somebody will come all 3 days, but again, it's always good to promote your next step in every
Exactly.
day.
Exactly. Okay, super important. Okay, so all right, let's see here. And we have a couple or at least one question I want to get to, but let's keep going with the steps. So basically, yeah, we just talked about actually doing, like doing the challenge. And and that is, of course, our, super important. And so you do the challenge, and then you covered number 6, which is ensuring that you include the upsell into each segment,
Each day.
right? And guys, when we're talking about the upsell, it's basically the pitch to move your clients into, or your audience into, the next step, which could be, again, a paid step, or it could be a free step, right? So as Sandra said, she does this strategy 3 times a year, 3 completely different challenges, and 2 times a year she moves her audience into a group experience. In the fall, we do this in her business to fill up her one-on-one roster, kind of like that last push in the fourth quarter, right? To really ramp up and for her to achieve her financial goals. So the thing that is so very important, I just want to mention, and this is kind of a good segue into some big mistakes that practitioners tend to make. And I would say Sandra nailed it. One of the mistakes is not pitching your paid program every single day of your free event. I would say don't wait, because you're going to have attrition, right? You're going to usually have a lot of excitement and energy that first day, which is awesome, but you do get people that drop off, right? So you want to make sure that you do the pitch all 3 days in this case. So any other big mistakes that we need to watch out for?
I would say, in addition to, I would say definitely stay motivated and stay positive. Treat each launch differently, or each challenge differently, even though it may be a relaunch that you've done before. Stay positive and uplifted, because people will see your passion. And one of the testimonials that really resonates with me is people do challenges all the time. And so on different levels, and just because it's free, it does not mean that they're going to flock to your challenge. And so differentiate your challenge. One of the testimonies that I received was, "Oh, this challenge was different." This challenge, and I really took that to heart. It's like, I've done a lot of challenges, but this one was different. So find a way to, that's where honing in on those pain points and honing in on what's buzzing. What's the latest fad? What's the latest hook? And really tie into that and use that to differentiate your challenge, so people won't think, "Oh, this is just another challenge. This is no different than what I've done before." And so, because I've been lucky and blessed to have some good outcomes in just 3 days. People have told me inflammation has improved, their sleep has improved, in just 3 days. So they felt better. So those are things that to really hone in on.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. And so I think you hit on really the most important. I would probably just add one thing, and that is what I see is a lot of times we worry, like we spend like way, way too much time with the content of the program and not enough time promoting the program, right?
Okay.
So again, because we have perfectionism, right? I know like a lot of us kind of struggle with that.
Mhm.
And we get really nervous about if the content, which I understand that that's super important, but if you don't promote, you're not going to even have a program, right?
Mhm.
So I like to say, you know what, worry more about the promotion so that you can get people in. And then, I'm pretty confident that your content is, it's gonna, because you guys you could do this in your sleep, right? For the most part. So I would just recommend that you worry a little bit more about the promotion so that you get a nice group of people in your program, right? And
Yep.
it is somewhat of a numbers game. Let's just be honest here, right? You want to really, really focus so very heavily on getting people into that free event because, like you're looking at converting a certain percentage of those folks. So obviously, the bigger the number, and the more engaged people are, the more likely you're going to be able to convert them into your paid program. So just pay attention to those numbers. All right, Sandra, as we kind of wind things down here, any final words of wisdom that you want to share?
Uh, I think I hit it all. I really do.
Yeah, I love what you said about being positive.
Yeah. Hmm.
I
Yeah, that's so
honestly,
important.
yeah, I would say that that's a big takeaway. Like really, because it can be stressful and it's a
Mhm.
lot.
It is.
And so you really want to be positive. And yeah, and like I know with Sandra, sometimes she'll have people that maybe don't convert into paid clients immediately, but because she, did such an awesome job with the challenge and, really people love her, when they're ready, they do come around,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So be aware of that as well.
Yeah, yeah. And definitely continue to nurture if you go the Facebook group route, continue to nurture that group in between
Yeah.
launches because that is what's really going to keep people engaged and keep you on their radar when they are ready to make that move. I continue to do posts, weekly. So Krista helps with posting engagement posts and things like that, and people join. People actually join my Facebook group in between launches. So you'll
Yeah.
just be amazed at how things just grow even when you're not in launch mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Same. I have, I think, 3 Facebook groups from, 2 or 1 from a long time ago. It's not really related to a launch, but 2 separate ones I use for a launch, and I still have people signing up. So,
Really.
and the nice thing about that is, it is a good way to continue to grow your list, especially if you can, get their email addresses as they enter that Facebook group. So it really is a great strategy. So Sandra, how can people find out more about you?
Yes. Visit my website, actionchoices with an S.com. So it's actionchoices with an S.com. And I'm also on IG. So nutrition, weight loss. Uh-huh. Yep. Nutrition, weight loss. I have to look at my handle. It's a shame. I don't remember my handle. Let me look it up real quick. Here it is. Weight loss underscore nutrition underscore dietitian. So
Okay.
that's my handle. Weight loss underscore nutrition underscore dietitian.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, give her a follow on Instagram. And I just remembered we have a great question.
Okay.
Hey, Kathleen, welcome. So Kathleen wants to know how we strike that balance. Oh, thank you, Abby, for posting her website. How do we strike a balance between giving them enough but not so much where they don't need you anymore? Oh my God, what a
Yes, it makes perfect sense.
yeah.
We as dietitians, at some point, we all give too much to where they feel like, oh, I got what I
Got
need.
it. I can do it on my own, right? So any
Oh,
wisdom there, Sandra?
yes, we give the what, you say what it is the problem, and
Yeah,
we save the how for the next step. So it's like you talk about, well, what is this, and how is that, and but
yeah.
to learn more, to
The
you
what
go
and the
a
why,
little
right?
deeper into this concept of how to control your cravings, then your next step.
Right.
So you kind of give some highlights, you kind of keep it surface level, but you don't want to get into your, the details of the content of your program. So I really keep my challenges at, focusing it on, how do you feel, how do you like the meals and this and the other. Do you feel like it's controlling your cravings, during this period of time? So you kind of keep things real high level. You don't want to dig too deep, because you're right. If you give too much, or if they feel like they've got their answer, then then they will not feel like they need to move to that next step. So you always kind of put that hook in throughout your training. If you want to dig a little deeper into, whatever this topic is you're talking about, or I go into more detail about, this in my course, so that's kind of how you set that up.
Yeah. Oh my God, you nailed it, right? You absolutely nailed it. Oh my God, you're so good at this, Sandra. I couldn't have said it better myself, seriously. So yeah, high level for the most part. I mean, you do want to be cognizant of adding value, and you don't want to be perceived as withholding. So that's really important. But at the same time, you want to try to give them kind of high level. And you're always seeding, right? You're always seeding, saying, okay, so during our time together, during this challenge, I can cover X. Just know that in the paid program, I go way deeper. Right? I'm able to really go deep because we have, much more time. So really be cognizant, guys, of kind of seeding your paid offer really throughout your paid program, right? Just so people are like, okay, I get it. This is kind of more introductory, and the paid program is a deep dive, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Sandra's a pro at this point. I love it. All right. Let's see if we've got anything else. I think we are good to go. Here is Sandra's Instagram handle. Give her a follow. And then actionchoices.com, Sandra's website. And guys, I actually have an entire course called Lucrative Course Blueprint, and it's all about launching, every single detail, sample emails, sample calendars, etc. If you're interested in learning more, drop me an email. Okay. It's Leslie@lesliebytel.com. Let's see. Let me write that out real quick. Let's see here. Okay. There's my email, Leslie@lesliebytel.com. And we can hook you up if you want to learn more. All right, guys. So thank you so very much, Sandra.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, really. You're awesome. I love you. You're incredible. I'm so proud of you. I get a little emotional, as you know.
Yes.
We've been on
a long journey, guys, but she's a great coach. So she took me from a mighty long way.
And you've done amazing. So we're a good team, right?
Yes, absolutely.
A great team. So I'm really proud of you. And thank you for your time today. And really, thank you for sharing your wisdom with others. I greatly appreciate it. So have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. A wonderful weekend. We're almost to Friday again. It seems like every time I turn around, it's like almost Friday again. So I guess can't complain about that. So look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now, everybody.